welcome. It's brilliant to have you. Thank you for connecting with us tonight. And so, as you'll know, my name's Richard, and I work for the Diocese of Leeds in the communications team. And specifically, I do lots of things, but sort of my main focus is digital stuff. So it's been a really interesting time recently. Obviously a challenging time, but obviously us as diocesan staff obviously adapting, but then whether that's website, but then we've been involved in lots of different communications, but then trying to obviously support our churches as well in that. But yeah, so I worship at a church in Castleford, which is the Wakefield area of our diocese. And I'm involved very much I've been involved in like the digital stuff in our church as well. And so I've been on that same journey as the rest of you really, in terms of we've just basically had to bring church online and digital. It's just been, real challenging, but interesting. And we've been facing that very much in the same way. And I'm just glad to say I've got Johnny who's at Fountains Church with us tonight, and then Cameron who's at St. George's, and they're just going to hopefully offer some wisdom and some help along with myself, and will obviously help as much as we can. And this is just a night just to we're going to share a bit about, Johnny and Cameron's going to share a bit about what their churches are doing, but then the floor's open then to yourselves. If you've got any questions to do with digital, whether that's website related, social media related, or Zoom related. I mean, I think me, Johnny and Cameron were just chatting before. I mean, we have a particular interest in how, obviously we having to maintain church a bit online, but I don't know about everyone else, but we found in the church I worship at that it's also been a great opportunity to reach different people and reach other people. So it'd be great really to hear about maybe how you've done that, and maybe just if you've got any questions around that's quite an interesting thing to discuss. But in terms of how it's going to work, so I mean, we're not a big group, so it'll be absolutely fine. But if you're not talking, if you could just mute yourself, and then that just makes the whole thing easier. I'm sure you've been on plenty of Zoom meetings by now, and it can get a bit chaotic when more than one person's talking. And if you've got a question or a comment, something to say, then just wave, or if you want to type something in the chat as well, type a comment or a question in the chat, then that's great. And then just to say, we are recording this session, and it's just with the view of us maybe just using it as a resource in future for people who weren't able to be with us tonight. So I think that's pretty much everything. I'm just going to invite, we'll ask Johnny first, and then Cameron. They're just going to share a bit about the digital stuff they're involved with. Thanks, Johnny.
Sure. So yeah, I'm Johnny. I'm based at Fountains Church in Bradford City Centre. Similar to Richard, I do kind of digital comms sort of stuff. So kind of maintaining social media, websites, and kind of church database and all that kind of side. So it's been quite busy the last few kind of months, but it's been really exciting. I'm just Rich has asked me to talk through a couple of things that we've kind of done to get church online at Fountains. So I'm just checking my list and run through. So we do daily prayer each morning and evening at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. and we do that over Zoom, so that it can be kind of, I think some churches are doing it on Facebook Live. We thought there won't be kind of loads of people engaging with that, so we thought we'd do kind of more community feel. Over Zoom we have kind of a PowerPoint with the text. Someone shares the screen, and then people can follow along on mute. Sometimes someone will grab a guitar and play a song. The audio is obviously not amazing, but it's nice to kind of sing together. Well, kind of not together, but you know what I mean, everyone's muted, so you can't hear anyone else. So yeah, that's been working really well. And then in terms of our Sundays, we have kind of two kind of services. We have kids church service, and then the kind of normal Sunday worship. So the kids church takes place on Zoom. I don't know loads of details about it because I haven't been to any of them. But apparently the kids are engaging really well with that. They kind of do some songs and they dance around. And I think they've been kind of, the kids have been engaging with one another as well, which is really good that they kind of recognize that they can chat to their friends through Zoom. And then for our Sunday afternoon worship service, we kind of record bits of that during the week, and then I stitch it together to kind of make a long video, which we then upload onto Facebook and YouTube, and then that premieres. So it kind of works as a live video, but we've recorded it during the week. So there's a live comment section, people can kind of have a little chat, and they can also share it on their feed so that more people can see it. We've had, I think we've had like slowly kind of, I think similar to a lot of churches, the kind of numbers have declined a little bit kind of each week. We still seem to have kind of reached quite a lot of people online with that, which is really good. And then, so after our service, we have a kind of Zoom coffee lounge, which is a chance for people to kind of just have a chat and have like a little bit of community, because they've just been watching church on a screen, so it's quite passive. So it kind of adds an element of flexing on the service and kind of praying together. We tend to, depending on how many people there are, kind of break out into different breakout group, what are they called, breakout rooms on Zoom. Just because if you've got loads of people, you can't really have a conversation with anyone. So kind of groups of 4 or 5 works quite well for that. And then the last thing, we've started doing a kind of worship evening on a Saturday night, also on Zoom, where someone kind of plays and sings on Zoom, and then everyone is muted. We kind of do it as, it's kind of worship, but also encourage everyone to kind of bring an instrument and play along. So it's kind of like everyone's in the band, but you're only hearing the one person. So that's been kind of a bit strange, not really what we used to, but it's actually been really nice. And I found kind of personally, I have engaged more with being able to play along with something than kind of just singing to myself. I don't know, for me that just works quite well. But then obviously people that don't play an instrument can sing along as well and kind of pray, and it's just space to kind of relax and rest in God's presence, which seems to be working well. So yeah, sorry, I've kind of garbled a little bit there. Sorry to go on, but yeah, that's what we're up to.
No worries. Cheers, Johnny. That's brilliant. Cameron, do you just want to share a bit about you and your church?
Yeah, so I'm at St George's. I'm the operations intern there. I have been there since September. So we started doing online services for the first, and in the first couple of weeks, we started streaming those live from the church. So we were able to put systems in place for that to happen reasonably quickly. And then the full lockdown came into place, and from then we've been online streaming. So every Sunday we've been doing just a pre-recorded service stitched together through various bits recording clergy's houses, but we are really fortunate we've got a worship pastor who records our worship segments, and then we also have a creative media manager who edits the service. So that's sort of all handled by dedicated members of staff. So actually that bit's, it's mainly down to one person, but actually like the majority of the work's falling down to them. We, like Johnny, have been doing Facebook Live. I've been doing prayers at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. We, because of the size of the church and through various other things, we decided to stick that on Facebook. The liturgy is available on our website. The reason there's 2 of me at the moment is that I'm going to show you some of the stuff on our website, because actually that's been a real hub of where we're doing stuff. So I'm going to sort of show you some of the stuff that we've built up around that. So we've been doing that, sort of basing it on that, and each week sending out an email to our church members, just saying this is the stuff we're doing this week. These sort of keeping community up by doing that. But the key touch points have been the sort of Facebook Live morning and evening prayer. I think we saw a little bit of a drop off after the first week. We've sort of tracked the data of that and trying to focus on live engagement. Our engagement sort of across many things has been pretty good, but trying to focus on, okay, how many people are actually tuning in each day live to this rather than sort of commenting after and those sorts of things. And we tend to be seeing probably around 70 or 80 people a day sort of tuning into that and getting involved in that, which is a good number for the size of our church. We're happy with that. And so we're seeing that every day, and then we're doing that as well. And we're also then doing TOTS. We're doing that online. So every Tuesday they do a 10 or 15 minute time. We've got a children's worker who does that as well. So she's been doing that, but also seeing various bits from congregation members. So the key thing we've been doing to try and get more people involved is when we've been doing online stuff, we've been doing it through getting loads of different congregation members to record and film bits and send them in. So we've had Bible readings and those sort of things come from those. I'm going to just show you the website. So I'm going to just share my screen because we've been doing a lot of work on kind of getting resources out to the church via our website. So I'm just going to show you this if I can find it. Just give me 2 seconds. That's the one I want, 2 seconds. So key thing we're doing is about making it accessible onto our website. So when you land on the front page of our website, you can see that actually what we've been doing is trying to make it sure that people can access the liturgy. So the way we've been doing that is via that there. And this is something which you may be interested in as a church. We've set this up for us, but it's very useful in creating sort of 3 key areas for resources. So we've got prayer. So this is to do with the Thy Kingdom Come stuff that's happening in the next few weeks. But building this in, making sure that lots of resources are available online, building those in, sort of making it easy for people to get around those. And the C of E itself has done loads of stuff online for the Thy Kingdom Come movement. So and this basically just outlinks to a lot of that. We've got online resources. So we've been developing some ourselves, but also then this links to those different people, making it easy for people to get into WhatsApp, Zoom, and building some of those basic stuff there. And then we've also, as part of the sort of pastoral side of it, we've started this chat function. And what this does is you come on here, fill out a form, and that goes into, we've set up a new sort of pastoral way of doing that in terms of a chain of command that goes through, and then it goes to the relevant people. So yeah, just thought I'd show you sort of how we've shaped the website to be functioned around a lot more resources online in order to be able to do that. Something else which we're doing at the moment, which is a complete experiment. I'll stop showing this now so you can see me. Which is a complete experiment. Alpha UK have backed us to do an online Alpha course. And we started one just after lockdown started because that was when an Alpha course was due to be starting anyway. But Alpha UK have partners with, we're a hub church for Alpha anyway, and they've partnered with us, and we're doing a load of targeted promotion for online Alpha, and sort of they've helped us develop that and set up. So a decent amount of money been putting into it in terms of reaching out, and I think, like as I'm sure a lot of you are aware, like one of the key things that this lockdown has brought is that taking down of the one of the key barriers for people for church of actually getting them in the door, because they can do it now from the living rooms, and Alpha as well included in that. And we're seeing mixed results so far, and it's a huge experiment. Alpha haven't done it outside of London. Alpha in London at HTB are seeing at the moment they've got about 3,000 people going to the Alpha course through an incredible amount of advertising and those sorts of things. But we're one of the first outside of London to be doing that. So it's very much an experiment, but we're seeing how it goes. So yeah, and I think the key thing is we're just doing various things to try and keep community, but also keep the church resourced with stuff. And to do that, we're a church of a reasonable size. We're actually like doing a lot of that one-on-one stuff becomes more difficult, but actually we'd love to equip the whole church with these resources. And any sort of questions on that will be appreciated.
Great. Cheers, Cameron. Just sort of following on with the Alpha, I mean, you're saying that you've sort of started the course already. I mean, could you expand on that like a little bit more? How have you found it?
Yeah. I'm not actually running the course, so I can't speak about YouTube, but I can talk about how we're doing it, because we're doing the same. So we had at the same time, we've got an Alpha course running, and we've also running the marriage course. So the marriage course had just started before we went into lockdown. They'd had 2 or 3 sessions, and now they're meeting online as well. And something we're doing is particularly with marriage courses, this is a good one for practicality. We've been sending out a link to the video saying, if it does drop out during the evening, we'd love you to tune into this video anyway, and then feed us back as to how you're doing. And some people have actually said that that's really benefited them anyway. So the Zoom doesn't work for them. The feel isn't quite right, but equipping them with the video means that they go into the session, they dedicate an evening, they watch the video and do that. And I think Alpha are doing similar things, if I'm not incorrect, because Alpha have made a lot more of their videos available on YouTube over this time for people to run online Alpha.
Great, thanks for that. That's just really interesting. Thanks, Johnny and Cameron. And I know it's obviously going to be different in all of our setups, in all of our churches, and we're doing things differently. And and there's obviously some great stuff that you guys are doing in Fountains and St. George's, but I know that the rest of you will be doing some of that stuff, but maybe some other things as well. And it's all good, it's all valid, and yeah. So has anyone got any? Does anyone just want to share some of the things they're doing, or has anyone got any sort of questions about anything that Cam and Johnny have said, or anything else? Chris, go on.
That's why I mute myself. Sorry. Yeah, it was just a quick. We've been recording our services and then putting them out on YouTube, and so they get published about 8 o'clock on Sunday morning. I just wondered what the benefits are of actually everybody viewing it at the same time. So you're publishing, and both of you said you're publishing them at the same time, although they're pre-recorded. What's the benefit of that?
I mean, I'll Johnny and Cameron, if you want to come in after me. I mean, I know that, and I presume they're doing the same as what our church is doing. We're pre-recording our services, so I suppose we find that quite good because it gives you. I mean, live streaming is brilliant, but I suppose if you pre-record, it gives you a bit more flexibility to maybe have someone else from another house do a Bible reading, or as Cameron was saying, they've got their worship pastor who sort of does this. He'll do all the songs, I presume, from his house, and then they'll have someone else speaking, and you could obviously edit that together on the Friday or whatever. And then I know in our church we use Facebook. That's sort of our main online platform, and we use what's called a Facebook Premiere, and I know YouTube have a YouTube Premiere, and it's basically very much like a live stream, but it's like a pre-recorded video, so it goes out at a set time. And you ask what the benefits of that are. I mean, I don't know, like Johnny or Cameron, do you just want to sort of chip in?
Sure.
Yeah. Oh no, go for it, Johnny.
So I think partly it's helpful I think it's really good to gather people. It kind of makes it an event at a certain time that people can put in their diary of they turn up at 8, 9, 10 o'clock, whatever, on a Sunday morning, and kind of turn up for church is definitely something a little bit more engaging. And I think it's really easy at the moment to be very passive in church. You can watch it on the TV, you don't need to sing, you don't need to speak to anyone. So I think while it's still not amazing, I think it's still good to get people to turn up. There's kind of a live chat where people can discuss and like share stuff. In terms of other advantages, so Facebook and YouTube actually, I'm not really sure why, but basically favor premiere videos, other non-premiered. So it will kind of push it out a little bit more, so you're kind of likely to get more people engaging, and it will pop up in people's news feeds and on their page a little bit more. But then also it will stay there on YouTube or on Facebook afterwards. So if people do miss the live kind of streaming of it, they can still watch it back later. Does that help?
Okay, have you got anything else, Cameron, or is that?
I think that's the main thing. I'm going to go slightly rogue here because I'm currently doing two churches because I'm at my home church as well, back in Gloucestershire, and we are using a piece of software that I would highly recommend. We found it excellent, called Online Church, and what this is, it's completely free, and what it does is it uses YouTube Premiere. I'm not entirely sure as the back end of it, but I know it does work, and we use it really well. And that enables you to have a live chat. It enables you to have a live chat, but it also enables you to have hosts. and those hosts can accept prayer requests, and it's a really nice interface, really easy to use. People just click on a link, go to your online church. They see a pre-recorded video, and it uses the YouTube Premiere feature. And you link the accounts, but the key thing is the chat is actually a really nice feature to use as well. YouTube Premiere and Facebook Premiere are great, and there's nothing wrong with them. It's just we've chosen to use that down here. St George's, we do Facebook and we do YouTube, and they both premiere at 10:30. I think this week we decided to premiere at 10:15 to give 15 minutes beforehand for people to talk and have a chat before, and then do that. And so they're online church, or if you're just looking for basic, which Facebook and YouTube are really simple ways of doing that as well.
Yeah. I mean, I know at our church we sort of try and so we've got our main Sunday service, but then we have other things in the week, like we do other like video devotions, and they're just videos that are just posted normally, and they're getting some great engagement. But I mean, we find, and like as Johnny said, I think platforms like Facebook do perhaps favour live video or premiere videos a bit more, it's quite interesting because when you're watching a premiere video, you can actually see who's watching with you, and so you'll be watching and it'll say, oh, so and so has just joined, and you'll be like, oh, blimey, I never would have thought they'd have stepped into a church before. You know, it sort of gives you a little bit of a sense as to how many are engaging, some of the different people. But I think like the chat feature is really nice. Like I know, it's great because we get all sorts of people from our congregation. Just if there's like the preachers preaching, they'll be like, oh, you know, loving this message, and you know, we've not had any negative comments so far. It's all been nice and positive, thankfully. But it's just nice. It's just, you, like Johnny says, you feel like you're part of. You're all gathering, even though you're in all over the place. You're sort of all gathering together, and gives you that sense that you're together. So I'm a big fan of the premiere stuff. But Ailsa, sorry if I pronounced your name wrong.
That's fine. It's a weird name anyway.
Sorry.
I think that's what I'm really interested in. Yeah, we've all got these very large numbers, apparently listening, perhaps only listening in for a little bit, not actually joining in the worship. And how do you seek to build relationships with those people? I saw there's a research that Bob Jackson's done, which talks about this idea of having some kind of buddy system or some sort of online pastor. So it sounds like Cameron's idea is the best one. You use this online church system.
Yeah,
for picking out.
I'll tell you now, I've gone very rogue because there's not a church up north using it. I'm the only church I know of is my home church, but we've found it absolutely excellent in terms of it. What we found a benefit of, and this is me speaking, not St George's, because they chose not to go for it. The advantage of it is that it has the prayer feature is key, and also having the hosts enables it to have that feature of knowing who is established and pastoral points of view. And when you, as a host, when you log in, you have sort of a chat, so you can talk with other hosts and decide and allocate prayer appropriately and all those sorts of things. If you wanted to talk about that, I'd be happy to talk about it with you and sort of see it through, because it's a really excellent feature.
Yeah, it sounds like a really good idea, because that's about what you've got to do. You've got to somehow build relationships. Say we've all got these large numbers clocking in from time to time. There must be amongst that, say, 5%. Who might be interested in taking things further and putting down roots and developing it. So how do you hit those 5%? I think it's something we're all going to have to kind of explore really as we move forward.
It's a really good point. I mean, Cameron, is that a free platform online?
Yes, we're not paying for it. If the website is online.church, sorry.
Is that the one Life Church have made in America?
I think it is, yes.
Craig Groeschel's church, isn't it? I've seen.
Yeah, it is Craig Groeschel,
and it seems to work really well. It's probably a little bit more complicated to set up, but
yeah, I think what it's complicated. I think there's a little bit more complicated to set up. But once you've got it set up, we've had no problems now, and we use that since week 1. So we found it on week 1, and we've used it since. I think one key thing to say, because although I advocate, I think it's great. I think it's worth saying that those sorts of things are possible on Facebook and YouTube. It just requires a different, so we're very conscious to put in every week to make sure if you've tuned in and sort of put the contact details up, flash those up, make those accessible, and sort of and making it so that it is accessible for those, the content itself, not just the interface and the way of doing it. Because I think the negative thing with online church, and I advocate it, like I say, the negative thing is you have to click a link, you have to click on something to go through to another page for it to come up. Whereas actually what I think in terms of reaching out and in terms of building those relationships, having that from the off go on Facebook and YouTube, that's where they're second to none. Because a person who's not looking for a church, it might just appear on their feed because a friend has shared it. They don't have to click anywhere, it appears on their feed. And I think it's key to have engagement in those platforms as well. So online church is great for a community that's already established and for building this sort of thing, but actually for reaching out, Facebook and YouTube are second to none.
Yeah, it's a good question though. I mean, sorry, Alison, we'll come to you next. Yeah, it's like we've found that challenge that we're putting all this content out, and like you say, it's impossible to know how many people are engaging with all of it. And like I say, it's just the nature of social media that people will watch it for a few seconds and then they'll tune back out. So it's not always a true sort of picture if you say, oh, we've reached 200 people, but it's still good anyway, I think. But then, yeah, like, how do you then build those relationships? How do you almost use it as a way of discipling? And that's a real challenge. I mean, I know I chat with, some of you will know Robin Gamble, who's in our diocese, and he's like our like church growth sort of advisor, and he's sort of, I was chatting to him a bit about it, and he was like saying, oh, you need to, is there a way you can build up like a contact list of, you know, all these new people that you sort of connecting with? But that's probably quite hard always on like Facebook and YouTube, because obviously you've not got access to people's details. But maybe it's during services. It's I mean, I've heard people sort of suggest that when they've done online services that they do, so the people who are speaking, they actually like say, you know, listen, if you want to know more, then here's like our email, you know, if you just, or here's how you can access our mailing list, or you know, so it's probably like in your content actually making that quite clear how people can connect with you moving forward. But Alison, have you got something to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention something that we're using called StreamYard. I don't know if anybody is aware of StreamYard, and we're doing quite a lot of live stuff, mainly because it involves less work for me at the end of the day, rather than having to sort of stitch stuff together. My background is I used to work in TV. I used to be a producer of TV, and now for quite a lot of years I've run a computer business and done a lot of web design, and so StreamYard for me works because it basically can feed straight into Facebook, so people know that the live's coming, and you have that ability to be able to have people connecting. So we'll have somebody that's leading, we'll have somebody that's praying, we'll have somebody that's I sort of pre-record sort of music and what have you, so we have some sense of some sort of worship together. And we've used that in a sort of school assembly role, which has been in a really interactive way then to be able to, we've got teachers in and interviewed them, we're getting the children and the families sitting down who we'd never see normally in church to come in and chat and encouraging them to interact with the service. And now we're sort of trying to take that to the next step now by sort of saying, well, we're going to try the same thing with a sort of an all age type service. Again, more interactive, but try and sort of move them across from the sort of school assembly collective worship thing we do on Friday into the sort of Sunday morning. But StreamYard works really well, and the free version is pretty fully featured. You can share a screen, so you can make somebody's sort of, you know, side screen while you've got liturgy up, and you know, it's great. It's really good. It's well worth looking at.
Is that a program that kind of takes the feed from your video and then sends it to Facebook and YouTube? Is that kind of how it works? Well,
yeah, it's basically, yeah, it's a website, and it just, you connect it up to your Facebook accounts and it streams directly out, so you can schedule your lives so people know that they're coming, which works really well because, you know, to start off with, despite the fact I've got sort of background in TV and computing, I've never done any live stuff at all. Why would I? You know, we found that once we were sort of doing the reorganisation properly, as in setting up the stream so that people were getting told it was coming up in the Facebook feed and what have you. You know, when I go live on a Friday, there's people sat there waiting rather than having to wait for people to sort of find you. But it works really well to be able to feel that you've got this sort of, you're all there together at the same time, you're worshipping at the same time, and you've got the dynamic of being able to get other people in, and it just feels a bit more normal. Weird, but normal, you know. But it's worth looking at because the free version is actually really fully featured. And it also is dead easy for people to get on it. So if you've got one tech savvy person, most of the people in my church are very tech averse. All they have to do is literally click on a link. As long as they've got something that's got a webcam and a mic in it, all they do is click on a link. The tech person does everything else. So it's good for people who've just got a one-man band who need to do the techie stuff. So
you, Alison, you're like in the background almost, you know, sort of operating, and then people, so they just click a link and they do their bit of the live stream.
Yeah, they basically click a link, they get invited backstage, and then I can bring people in and out. It's basically going back to my old telly days. It's just directing, basically.
Yeah, wow.
You can have, you know, different people. You can have a two-header. You can drop people out. You can put people full screen. You know, it's just a really more interactive way. You sort of, and it feels, because I do think that live stuff does, if you're able to do it, it just does have that sense of us actually all coming together in a sort of corporate way that we just can't do at the moment in the buildings. But we're seeing people like you guys all are that wouldn't normally join us. That's brilliant. I'm going to check that out myself. Sounds like a really good, and no, that's brilliant, because I know a lot of churches are doing live stream where it's just obviously one person maybe with a phone or something doing Facebook Live. But if you've got that ability to then, do it like you can bring different people in, have more than one person on. That sounds brilliant. Yeah, that's great. Has anyone got? Sorry, Jackie, you got your hand up.
Sorry, this may be a very basic question. We use Zoom for worship. Can you explain how you use the breakout rooms, please? How you've set that up?
Johnny, you said you've used the Zoom breakout rooms.
Sure. I thought Cam put his hand up, but I can jump in.
Oh, I can.
No, you're more than welcome to take that one, Johnny.
If you give, I don't get this.
Do you want me to take it, Johnny?
Yeah. Do you need the paid account? I'm not sure.
No, as far as I'm aware, you don't need the paid account. So what you can do, you need to make sure that breakout rooms are enabled to start with. And that is the key thing that I didn't realize you need to do. So if you go to your Zoom, dashboard, which I believe you have to go onto the website to get to your Zoom dashboard. It's a bit of a pain, if I'm brutally honest. I don't know why they've made it so difficult, because it's quite a useful feature. I'm just checking for you now, but yeah, you go to your Zoom dashboard, and then you go into settings. So you go zoom.us/profile, and then you go to your settings. I'm just going to do what I did a minute ago, so you can see what I'm doing, because then that'll be easier. Oh no, don't worry, it's easy. So you go scroll down here, and somewhere deep down in the settings here, they really didn't make this easy for some reason. In the in-meeting settings, advanced, if you just keep scrolling down, you get to it. You have to go, you have to turn on breakout rooms. And then from then, it's very easy. So it will then appear at the bottom of every Zoom call you make. And you go breakout rooms, and then you can either go assign manually or assign automatically. So it will say, how many people do you want to assign to this room? How many people do you want to assign to each room? And if you do it automatically, it will just put that many people in each room and go for it. Or if you want to do it manually, you click manual, and then it creates a load of breakout rooms, and you assign each person in the call to a breakout room. If you do it, you can do it when you're scheduling a meeting, which is Denise makes a very good point. They are all available on this video is available online, but they don't show you how to do the first bit, which is get on the website and do that online. Oh, do they? Oh, I just missed it and skipped over the video. Watch the video that Denise has recommended and forget everything I've just said, but it is how you do it.
I think it's just not so much a technical thing, but so I've had some research, some scientists have done on kind of Zoom and engagement, and apparently kind of 4 to 5 people is the optimum number of people to have kind of on Zoom and to be actually have a kind of good back and forth discussion with. So if you're kind of making the breakout rooms, it will say at the bottom, it'll tell you how many breakout rooms you're making, and then it'll tell you how many people that is per breakout room. But 4 to 5 is meant to be kind of really good. Yeah.
Thank you. That's really helpful. Thank you.
Cheers, thank you. Has anyone got anything else they wanted to sort of to raise, or anything else that you're doing at your church, for example, you wanted to share? Yes.
Just to say that through the winter, from just before Christmas till Easter, really, I was running a Zoom confirmation group, because we had a group of 30 somethings, and they were all busy professionals, and some had babies and some were pregnant and all those kind of things. And it worked remarkably well without any very high technology, in the sense that we're more the Catholic end of the tradition. There's a book called This Is Our Faith. So everyone had a hard copy, and we did a weekly session for an hour, just using the book, read the chapter, discuss it, pray at the end, sort of session, old-fashioned confirmation class. But it worked remarkably well with people who are busy. I'm hoping to do an inquirer's course, try and feed some of these people who are picking up on the digital put out, to do a digital inquirer's course. I'll probably use Pilgrim or something like that. It's sort of just a 6-week taster, because then on Pilgrim there's quite a lot of video material yet, but I haven't quite got my brain around it. But I think one of the things to do is to try to see how you can enable some of these people who are engaging with the digital stuff we're putting out, engage in the same way in a smaller group to explore faith. Obviously the online alpha will do that a bit too.
Thank you. Jackie.
There's a course, I'll nip and get it in a minute. There's a course, I think it's a Church of England one that they brought out for home groups, and it's 5 sessions, and it's very much based to address the situation we're in. So I think the first theme was do not be afraid, and etc. I'm just going to nip and get it. I'll leave you to talk a minute, but I was just going to get it.
Thanks. Yes, Cameron, go on.
I think just something to highlight, something we've realised through our communication with Alpha, is that actually Alpha UK are really keen to get churches, get them up and running with Alpha Online, help them out. So they've produced loads of really good resources on how to set up an online Alpha course. So just head to Alpha UK, email them is the other thing as well. Like they're really keen to get people out and to get people on, and I think they are really heavily utilising the time. They've got Alpha Online promotional materials in the process as well. I think they're a little bit slow for the uptake, but I think now they've realised that this is something that churches want to do. The Alpha UK are now putting out a load of input to do with Alpha Online stuff. I think sort of starting with some of the stuff they're doing with churches they're already quite established with, such as St George's and other places like that. But I think also then being aware that actually that this is something that nationally churches are wanting to do, and something they're making it more accessible to do as well.
Can I ask, do they build into that one of those a day or a weekend away? Is that also part of it?
It's a very good question. I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to ask. I don't know if they do. I know we are now running a 10-week course, which is I think the standard Alpha length, because we were running 8, but they've asked us to extend our course as part of this sort of move. But I don't know if it builds in something like that. I imagine it builds in something similar, but I'm not entirely sure. And so don't quote me on that at all.
I found the details. It's from the Anglican Alliance Bible Studies. Anglican Alliance Bible Studies. I'm pretty certain if you go on the Church of England website, it will be on there. There's a forward by the Archbishop of Canterbury, but it's just 5 sessions. We've run 2 already. We had 6 people and myself, so that's 7, which is a good number, like, for that sort of group. And like I say, I just found it, there's practically no preparation. So if you're busy to lead it, that you basically, as long as you've read the Bible verse and got your head around that, if you've led a home group before, that's about it really. So I'd recommend that for that.
Yes, Cameron.
Sorry, just to come back on Alistair's question about the Alpha Online stuff. I've just been onto the website. This is really good. If you go alpha.org, alpha.org/alpha-online, the website is really good. I've not actually looked at it. I've looked at the behind the scenes stuff. This is very specifically talking about running Alpha, not joining Alpha Online. And in there, they talk about the Alpha Weekend Away. And basically what they're saying is, by the point you get to there, a lot of the people they've had on the course are finding people want to meet in person or want to be more involved. And they're basically saying, if you can't do it in person in small groups, which is sort of allowed-ish, very vaguely, then you can watch all the 3 videos in one day, include live or pre-recorded testimonies to create that sort of different environment, and then also to sort of add some games in as well. So they're saying it's a key thing that we should be doing, but they're looking at new ways of doing it. But that website that I've just said, the alpha.org/alpha-online, there's loads of stuff on there in terms of like logistics of it and safety and all those sorts of things, and they've adapted it for coronavirus.
Great. That's good. That's good. Yeah, I mean, our church, we're sort of using Facebook. We've got like an Instagram, so we like using Instagram. But then, and then for Zoom, we're using like Johnny with Fountains. We have our service on Facebook, and then we invite people then to like a Zoom. It's like a catch up, like post service catch up. I mean, we found I suppose and I know I've heard a lot of churches actually using Zoom for their for their services. I think we've found it's and I suppose because I mean it's understandable, isn't it? Because if someone's got to click on a link and then they've got to join a private chat room with maybe people they don't know, but we just basically mainly get core congregational members joining that, which is great. I mean, it's obviously for our congregation, it means we're staying connected, and then we have like a Bible study on a Tuesday, and that's done in the same way. So we have a Facebook premiere that goes out, and then at a set time, we then have like a Zoom, and it's like discussing, and we discuss questions and use breakout groups and all the rest of it. Which so we find that works well. It's just we find it's not perhaps so good in terms of the challenge is trying to draw people in who perhaps aren't just part of the core congregation. But I suppose that's probably understandable anyway, because it is like a private sort of meeting sort of place. But I mean, we do like a weekly quiz as well at our church, so on a Friday night, and that's done on Zoom. So, and that's really fun. So we have someone who like Cameron's done, share the screen, and we have like a music round and a picture round, and that's just, I think, like the social stuff as well. There's a lot of like social stuff you can do online, and there's like online games, and like I've heard people like doing like baking, like you're like bake the same thing like over Zoom, and there's all sorts of crazy things people have done. And so we do a bit of a mix really. We have Zoom stuff like that, and then we have stuff on our social media, and a bit like Cameron said with the St. George's website, we've sort of tried to adapt our site, not does look as nice as St. George's, but just trying to obviously just give people the key things, the key links and resources. But we've got, it's 20 past, sort of another 5 minutes or so if anyone wants to ask anything else. Denise, yes.
I was just having a bit of a think. We've been doing quite similar to what you guys have been doing, really, in terms of Sunday services. We don't premiere though, because our 8:30 people will still tune in at 8:30. I can't seem to break that habit, and the 10 o'clocks will always tune in at 10 o'clock. So yeah, that just caused a bit of a problem for a premiere. But something we started to do in the church building was have a monthly Lego church, which I guess sort of meets the only people that tend to come are people on the fringes of church, and trying to think of ways to keep that going. So I've been doing a Facebook Live, a short half an hour mini Lego challenges, like a mini Lego church for half an hour on Facebook Live. But the biggest problem I found is the show and tell of our creations, which you can't do on a Facebook Live. You can't upload pictures to the comments. I was just wondering, is that something, if we use something like StreamYard, would that?
Yeah, it does. It works really well. So what happens on a Friday for us is that I put a shout out on Facebook for anything that the kids have done that's been great this week. So a lot of that is artwork. It might be they've climbed a tree. It might be that they've baked something and what have you. And I ask them to send anything they want to share, and it all gets included. I show absolutely everything. But I mean, some of you will not remember. What was it Take Art? Was it Take Art? Where they used to have the gallery. Yes, people are going, yeah, they know now. So we have that at the end of, and after the collective worship session, we talk about what great things they've been doing this week, and they're able to show their friends, and they all get a name check and what have you. And in conjunction with the PTA, we did a virtual talent competition and awarded prizes and stuff. So because you can sort of get the stuff in advance, and then you can then share your screen and what have you, and bring that in. You could do all that with a little bit of extra work beforehand, but not a lot. You just basically bang it in a PowerPoint presentation after day. But
yeah,
that's what really helps with the ownership, because they know that they're part of it. They really feel, that they're valued, and they are. They really are.
We build live. So during the Facebook Live, people have the Lego in front of them, and then we do the challenges live, and generally it's just me building something quite badly and then describing what I'm building quite badly. But at the end, people can then sort of share what they've built. So I think last time we had the initial warm-up challenge was build something with one hand, and then so the way I've got around it is by people sending me Facebook messages, and then I can show my phone up to the camera. But it's a bit it's not great. But yeah, if there's sort of any other platforms that would work sort of that way, I'm guessing StreamYard would work. Would that work live?
It could, if you've got good nerves, yeah.
Sounds amazing, Denise. I want to come to your Lego church.
How many have you got online for that sort of thing?
We've only just started redoing it, so probably only about 10 or 11 at the moment. So
you could put the StreamYard link in, and people could click on it, and then you could basically go to them live, bring them into the studio, get them to show the stuff, and then you could basically kick them out again and then get the next person in. You can have 6 people, I think it's on any one time. Okay. But obviously with something like that, you would want them sort of in and out and what have you. But yeah, you potentially could, absolutely.
Oh, that would be so cool. They do like it when I do hold up the random pictures to the screen, and the parents message me going, "Oh, like their piece of Lego was famous."
Yeah. The other alternative, just on a very primitive use of StreamYard, from what I've seen about it, you can share your screen. So if you've got the images, if they're sending you the images on Facebook Messenger, you could share the screen, just in case, rather than holding the phone up. Just share your screen onto it and share that Messenger window, and that would do the same without bringing them in. In terms of, it's basically just a slightly neater way of the way you're doing it at the moment.
Yeah, or what they have done is uploaded, if not sent me a Facebook Messenger, they've just put it onto the main Brick Church Facebook page, and again I could just show the pictures from there, on a screen share, which would work. Awesome.
That's great. That's really cool. No, I'm learning loads of stuff as well tonight. Like I didn't know about StreamYard and doing live Lego. It's all really good. But yeah, that's it seems to me, you'd need, I don't like platforms like Facebook and YouTube. They're just with a live, they just don't have that sophistication, do they, to be able to do things like you need that external platform like StreamYard to be able to do that. So it's just using this time, this opportunity to try stuff like that, isn't it? And that's really good. So I mean, a couple more minutes. It's 23 minutes past. Has anyone got one final thing they want to ask? This is your last chance. If you want to ask something or say something before we wrap up. If not, I mean, I know sometimes you can be at these things, and then I do it all the time where you'll think of something after the event. You can email me, and I can obviously try and help, or I can pass it on to someone else. And Johnny, go on.
Can I just note a helpful resource if anyone's kind of not got any musical people, kind of worship leady type people. Resound Worship have released loads of like free worship tracks. I think you can stream them all and use them on Zoom and stuff. So if you kind of need some free tracks that won't flag up copyright and license and stuff, that's a really useful resource. It's resoundworship.com. I don't know. .org.
Yeah, that's really useful. That's another thing. Yeah, good that you raised that about the whole thing with music and worship. And I mean, we're blessed in our church. We've got someone who sort of records themselves and sort of plays, and we have the words at the bottom. But yeah, like you said, I know not everyone might not have that, so it's good to have like places like Resound Worship to go to. And Chris, yes.
Yeah, we've got someone who sings for us, and we put the words up as subtitles, and ever since we've been doing that, we've been getting a copyright infringement when we've been posting them on YouTube. Do you know why that would be?
Yeah, I'm surprised by that, because I mean, we've done that and we've had no issues. I mean, we've had issues when we actually once were a bit naughty and we took a video from YouTube and we then included it in our service, and we did get a copyright infringement and it muted the video. But we've for a number of weeks we've been doing the thing with the person playing and the music. I don't know if anyone else has any thoughts around that. I mean, is it to do with some songs? I mean, I know if you have the CCLI license, the streaming license, obviously all the songs within their database are covered, and there shouldn't be any issues. But I know that platforms like Facebook, they have these automated systems that will pick up on things, even if you've got the copyright. Ian, yeah.
Well, yeah, can I just ask on that, if you've got the CCL license, which we have done, my understanding, but I think my understanding could be wrong, it usually is that that only allows you to play a hymn or a song, for example, live with for example, a pianist playing it, that then record either live streamed or recorded and put on YouTube. Yeah. It wouldn't enable you or allow you to play, for example, a song from a Matt Redman song or whoever from a CD. Is that correct?
You can't just rip it off. It has to be played live.
Oh, right. Okay. So my understanding then was correct. It has to be live. It can't just be a CD.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, that means we're obeying the law for the last 6 weeks in Kirkheaton Parish.
Alison, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I just want to head up something to do with the licensing as well, because we've been doing that. I've been basically sort of recording stuff to play out, because we've got the CCLI license and we've got the CCLI streaming license, which of course you've got to also have. But I thought of another license as well, you'd be pleased to know. So if you're actually doing stuff through Zoom, apparently you should also have an LOML license as well. I don't know how many people were aware of that. I'd never heard of it.
Yeah, I've had to get one of those because we use Zoom with music and that, and I checked and double checked. You can get it for 6 months, so we paid 6 months. I think it's about £80 for when we're 3 small rural churches. So, but you know, we have to be legal. So yeah, there's the website that you can go on. I phoned the helpline, and initially they were, I think I pressed the wrong number. If you phone the helpline, go to the last number where it says any other inquiries, and you get a very nice person to sort of, because there was lots of boxes that it wasn't clear. It's not really set up for churches.
So what's that license?
Alison, can you say it again? LO, I don't know what LO something, wasn't it?
Sorry, I think it's LOML.
Is it PRS?
It's through PRS, yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So the CCLO streaming license is fine if you're on social media platforms that are intended for domestic use, such as YouTube or Facebook. It's when you're going through a stream for your own church website or via Zoom, you need the limited online music license. So for an example, on our website, we actually just embed our full Facebook feed. And that's mainly because quite a lot of our elderly congregation won't touch Facebook with anybody else's badge pole, let alone their own. So I think we're probably okay that it's a Facebook embedding, but stop laughing at me, Ian. So yeah, it's apparently if you go into something that's more corporate based, which they class in as being corporate based.
Yeah,
Well,
that's, and I say, sorry, Ian, go on.
I was laughing because that was very funny, Alison. That's all.
Yeah, but you're right. It's the same with a website. So if you embed a video on a website, that's when you need that additional license as well. But yeah, I mean, we've found. I mean, I think if you're using like pre-recordings, I mean, it's my understanding. I mean, the only way you can get access to those is if you get permission from the copyright holder, basically, that you can do that. I mean, my church, we sent an email to Hillsong in Australia and said, you know, just sort of off by the off chance, we're just at the moment we use a lot of your songs. Could we maybe use them? Like, and they, to be fair to them, they did email back and said, yeah, you can. That's fine. You know, you have our permission to do that. But even with that, we've found that Facebook still have like picked it up and they've like said. And even though we have permission, Facebook don't know that. They don't know we've got permission. And
yeah, the annoying thing is that you have the permission and the license, but you have to prove it afterwards, which is pointless because then it just messes
and when you're
up.
doing a live video, it sort of spoils it, doesn't it? So yes, it's
Just on the licenses note, if anyone's confused, there's a really good article that I found on the Resound Worship website, which kind of talks about all the different licenses you need, the CCLI and LM, I can't say it, but the other one. So I can forward that on to Richard or something, and he can send that out if anyone finds that.
That'd be great if you could forward that on, Johnny, and then I'll pass that on. But we're going to leave it there because it's 1:30. But thank you for everyone for attending. I've really enjoyed that, and I hope it's been useful to you. Thank you for your contributions, and I'll send out an email to you all just with like the website Johnny's spoke of. I mean, Alison, would you be able to? Is it just StreamYard? I'll be able to find that, won't I? Because it might be useful just to sort of. I'll email that round as well because that's proved quite interesting.
I'll ping you over the couple of links that I've mentioned as well. So I'll chat about those. I'm really sorry. I'm going to have to disappear before we do this because my family waiting to eat. So see you in a bit.
Cheers, come on, bye. Okay, but yeah, thanks everyone, and as I say, if you've got any other questions or anything, you've got my email, and we're happy to help if we can. And I mean, we do. Just the last thing I just want to mention, was that we do have a Facebook group that's, I mean, it's called Lead CV Comms Champions, but you know, if you're from Peterborough Diocese, it's totally fine. We sort of, you know, we're open to anyone to join it, but it's just like a Facebook group basically for people interested in the stuff we've been talking about tonight, and if you just want to ask questions or share stuff. So it's Lead CV Comms Champions, and I'll include that in the email. So if you want to join that, you're more than welcome. Brilliant. Well, have a good rest of your night, everyone, and stay safe. And yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Rich.